Building a personal brand in 2025. You hear about it all the time, but could it actually be like the fastest path to getting seriously wealthy?
Yeah, there's this pretty bold claim floating around, the idea that you could potentially build a brand that pulls in, what, $10 million a year?
Exactly, $10 million.
Yeah.
Which sounds amazing, but then you think, hang on, if it's that straightforward, why isn't everyone doing it?
Right. It's just most people are missing something, some, really critical steps along the way.
That's what we thought too. So for this deep dive, we looked into it. We've got excerpts from a YouTube video transcript by Neil Patel, and he's the one making this specific claim about his own brand.
Okay.
So our mission here is really to unpack the blueprint he lays out. What are the actual steps? What's the thinking behind it? Let's try and figure out how, at least according to this source, you'd actually build a hugely profitable personal brand today.
All right. Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first step, where do you even start? I mean, the usual advice is always pick a niche. Yeah.
Yeah, that's standard. But this approach suggests, well, that's just part of it. The real secret, especially if you're aiming for those, massive numbers, is finding where profitability and your genuine passion overlap.
Profitability and passion, not just one or the other.
Exactly. It's got to be both. The market has to be there, value-wise, but if you don't actually care about the topic, you're probably not going to stick with the sheer amount of work involved.
That makes sense. And the source points to some maybe less obvious markets. It says, forget the super crowded B2C stuff like fashion or whatever, where everyone's trying to be an influencer.
Yeah, it highlights B2B, business to business. Things like CRM software, household goods, surprisingly, like toilet paper manufacturing or AI, which is obviously huge right now, calls them untapped gold mines.
Uncapped gold mines, okay. But why B2B specifically? What makes them better, according to this?
Well, two main things, really. First, just less competition. Fewer influencers are operating seriously in those specific B2B zones, so companies looking for partners have fewer options.
Okay, fewer choices for them.
Right. But maybe more importantly, the audience in B2B is seen as way more valuable to advertisers, so you don't necessarily need millions and millions of followers to make serious money.
Ah, so it's about the quality of the audience, not just the size.
Precisely. And there's a specific example given the claim that companies like PayPal have paid over $100,000 for just one social media post.
Wow, over $100,000 for one post.
Yeah, even to accounts that apparently had less than 1 million followers, which really drives home that point about audience value in these niches.
Okay, but you can't just pick a profitable B2B niche you hate, right? You mentioned passion earlier.
Absolutely not. That passion piece is critical. It's what fuels the effort, the consistency, the quality of the content.
Yeah.
Trying to fake it just for the money, you'll likely burn out super fast. It's too demanding.
Right, okay. So you find this niche profitable, you're passionate about it. What's the next big step? The source apparently says if you don't do this, you, quote, basically don't exist online.
Yeah, this one's intense. The core strategy presented is posting daily. On at least 6 different social media platforms.
6 platforms every single day.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds kind of overwhelming.
It does. Weekends, holidays, everything. Daily.
How is that even sustainable? And why 6 platforms? Why so specific?
Well, the thinking ties back to how people actually use social media. The source mentions Sprout Social Data, saying the average person uses more than 6 networks a month.
Okay.
So by being active daily on multiple platforms, you just massively increase the odds that someone sees your stuff on whatever platform they happen to check that day. Even places you might think are, over for certain demographics like Facebook, still huge user bases.
So it's about maximizing visibility through sheer presence.
Pretty much. And it's not just about churning out the same thing everywhere. Variety is key. You need videos, sure, but also blog posts, maybe podcast clips, images, short form stuff. Mix it up.
Right. Use all the different formats available.
Exactly. And this is where technology comes in handy. The source specifically mentions using AI tools. HeyGen was the example given for things like translation.
Ah, so you can take one piece of content.
Yeah, take a video and use AI to quickly create versions in Spanish, French, German, whatever. Suddenly you're reaching a global audience without manually recreating everything. It helps scale the effort.
That's smart, using tech to amplify.
Yeah.
But the core message still seems to be
consistency. Absolutely. It's hammered home again and again. Posting amazing stuff once a month. Apparently it's useless. People forget you exist between posts.
So you need that daily drumbeat.
Every single day, including holidays. For years. The source stresses many years of this consistency are needed for real success.
Okay, that time frame is important. This isn't an overnight thing, despite the flashy headline potential.
Definitely not. It's a long-term commitment to just showing up day in, day out.
All right, so let's say you're doing it. You're finding the time, you're posting daily, you're on multiple platforms. How do you speed things up? How do you grow faster without just adding more hours you don't have?
Yeah, good question. The source points to a key hack here, which is partnering up with other influencers or creators.
Collaborations, right? How
Right.
does that work effectively?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. You do something together, maybe a joint video, guest on their podcast, a shared post. Your content shows up on their feed, theirs shows up on yours.
Ah, so it's cross-pollination of audiences.
Exactly. It's a win-win. Their followers get exposed to you, your followers get exposed to them, and the source suggests this works even if you're relatively small. Like if you only have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 followers, you can still find people to collab with.
Okay, that makes it feel more accessible.
Mm.
What else? Any other ways to boost reach and credibility?
Yep, another big one mentioned is speaking at events.
Like conferences and stuff.
Yeah, both small local meetups and, bigger industry conferences.
And how does speaking help build the brand in this model? What are the benefits?
Several, actually. First, it instantly positions you as an expert, builds credibility, plus the presentation itself. That's content you can slice and dice and reuse all over your social media.
Okay, repurposing content. Smart.
And maybe the biggest thing, the event organizers promote you to their audience. The people attending are already interested in the topic, so it's like this uh, pre-qualified lead generation for your brand. An in-person collaboration, as the source puts it.
In-person collaboration. I like that framing. Okay, so collaborations, speaking gigs, you're building visibility, but then the source throws in a pretty stark warning about relying only on social media platforms.
Yeah, this is a crucial point for long-term thinking. The message is that big social media following you're building, it's basically temporary. It's unreliable.
Why unreliable? Because of algorithms.
Exactly. Algorithms change constantly without warning. The source even quotes a stat suggesting, even with a huge following, maybe only 1 to 3% of your audience actually sees any given post.
Wow, only 1 to 3%. That's tiny.
It can be, yeah. So building your entire brand just on social media is super risky. It's like building your dream house on rented land. The landlord can change the rules or kick you out whenever they feel like it.
Okay, so what's the solution then? How do you protect yourself?
The answer given is you need to own your audience. And the primary way to do that is by collecting email addresses, building an email list.
Right, the email list. We hear about that a lot. Why is it considered so much more powerful?
Because it's a direct line. You control that communication channel, not some algorithm. The source references data, or at least a graph, showing that an email subscriber is worth much more money, significantly more than just a social media follower over the long run.
Because you can actually reach them reliably.
Yep, you can build a deeper relationship, nurture them over time, directly share offers or valuable content.
So how do you get people off social media and onto your email list?
The standard method is the lead magnet. You offer something valuable for free in exchange for their email address.
Like a free guide or checklist or something.
Exactly. Free ebooks, guides, checklists, maybe an action plan, even quizzes related to your niche. And tools are mentioned, like MailChimp, that help you create landing pages, pop-ups, email templates easily.
Okay, so you create this valuable freebie.
And then you consistently push people from your social posts, your videos, your talks, towards your website or that landing page where they can sign up to get it.
Drive traffic to the opt-in. Makes sense. What if creating that lead magnet feels like a huge task in itself?
That's acknowledged. The source suggests using AI tools, again mentioning ChatGPT or Uber suggest AI writer as like brainstorming partners, or even to help draft the content for those free resources if you're stuck.
Okay, leveraging AI again. So you build the list, then you're set.
Not quite. You have to maintain the list, keep it warm. The advice is pretty strong. Email your list weekly. At least once a week, maybe ideally 3 times.
3 times a week. Wow, why so often?
If you don't email regularly, the list goes stale. People forget who you are, engagement drops, and importantly, your deliverability tanks. Your emails start going to spam. So consistent communication is key even after they subscribe.
Okay, that's a lot of groundwork. Niche, consistency, collaborations, email list. But the big promise was making millions. So how does this foundation actually turn into significant revenue?
Right, monetization. This is where another core principle comes in. Don't just pick one way to make money. The key to hitting those big numbers, according to this source, is diversification, multiple income streams.
Why multiple?
Because different methods work for different people in your audience, or they work better at different times. Relying on just one thing is risky and limits your potential.
Okay, so what are the specific streams mentioned in this blueprint?
While speaking gigs come up again, they're highlighted as potentially very lucrative, the source claims earning. Like $3 million a year just from speaking fees is possible, though they also mention becoming more selective later on.
$1 million plus just from speaking.
Okay. Then book deals. The example given is the book Hustle, becoming a New York Times bestseller, getting a $500,000 advance, and apparently having offers for more books.
$500,000 advance, wow.
What else? Sponsorships. Remember that PayPal example? Over $100 for a post. Once your brand gets big enough, companies apparently start reaching out, wanting to pay for endorsements, sponsored content, speaking, collaborations.
So the opportunities come to you more often.
Seemingly so. And the brand can directly boost an existing business, too. The source talks about their own personal brand driving about $10 million in yearly sales for their ad agency, NP Digital. It was a major driver, especially early on.
$10 million in agency sales fueled by the brand. That's significant. Any other streams?
Yep, affiliate marketing. This is where you promote other people's products or services that are relevant to your niche. You use platforms like ClickBank or Commission Junction to find offers, write articles, or create content about them, include your affiliate link.
And you get a cut if someone buys through your link.
Exactly. It's often described as passive income. You create the content once, and it can potentially earn you money even when you're sleeping, as the saying goes.
Passive income potential, okay. Anything else?
Brand partnerships are mentioned too, which can be deeper than just a one-off sponsorship. The example used is Alex Hormozy partnering with a school, where it apparently led to actual ownership in the company, not just a promotional fee. That's potentially huge upside.
Ownership through partnership. Interesting. So the overall idea is having lots of different ways people can essentially pay you or generate revenue through your brand.
Yeah, a diverse portfolio, catering to different levels of commitment or price points, like having, a $20 t-shirt option and a $100,000 speaking gig option, and lots in between.
Okay, got it. So we've walked through this whole blueprint. The niche, the insane consistency, audience building, monetization. If this is the path, what's the biggest thing stopping people? What's the main hurdle?
According to this analysis, it really boils down to two things: impatience and lack of consistency.
Impatience, which is kind of ironic given the fastest way to get rich, framing sometimes used.
Totally ironic. The source really stresses that personal brands compound. Growth isn't linear. It's slow at first, maybe for years.
Years.
Yeah, the specific number mentioned is needing that daily consistency for 3+ years before you really hit that exponential growth curve. The part where you might start seeing those multi-million-dollar returns. You just have to stick it out.
3 years minimum of daily grind before the real payoff. That definitely requires commitment.
Massive commitment, which, circles right back to why that passion element is so crucial. You have to love the topic to maintain that level of focus and intensity for years on end.
And focus seems key too, not getting distracted.
Absolutely. The advice is crystal clear. Don't go broad just to chase followers. Don't jump on every trend if it's outside your core area.
Why not? More followers seems good, right?
Maybe for vanity metrics, but not for revenue, according to this. If people don't know what you specifically stand for, what your one thing is, they won't convert into customers or clients. You dilute your value.
So being known for one thing in one vertical, that's the key to actually making money from the brand, even if the audience isn't enormous.
That's the argument presented, yeah, using the source's own focus on marketing as the case study.
Okay, and is there one final piece of advice?
Yeah, stand out, differentiate. Don't just be a copycat of others in your space. Do something different, unique. The source uses Marvel as a kind of analogy. Create something distinct with its own flavor.
Be unique. Don't just follow the herd. Got it. Okay, let's quickly recap the core pillars from this source for building that potentially multi-million-dollar brand. It starts with that fusion of passion and a profitable, maybe B2B niche.
Then the relentless daily grind, posting everywhere, multiple platforms, multiple formats, using tech like AI to help scale it.
Growing reach and credibility through collaborations with others and getting on stages, speaking at events.
Super important. Taking control by building your own email list, driving people there, and keeping that list engaged with frequent, valuable emails.
And then monetizing not just one way, but through a whole suite of options. Speaking, books, sponsorships, driving business leads, affiliate deals, deeper partnerships.
And underpinning all of it is the long game. Patience, years of daily focus, understanding that compounding effect, and making sure your brand has a unique angle.
It's definitely a demanding roadmap. Consistency and long-term vision seem non-negotiable,
No doubt about it. It's a marathon, not a sprint, despite any initial flashy promises.
which kind of leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over based on this deep dive.
Yeah.
Given this huge emphasis on years of daily focused effort before things really take off,
Right.
what's the actual cost hidden inside that fastest way to get insanely rich idea? And how does understanding that required long-term commitment maybe change how you'd approach building something valuable online?
Yeah, something definitely worth thinking about.